like, wow, it's going to take me twice the amount of work for half the amount of money.
There's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic.
Avengers stars have officially declared war on Disney's CEO after years of being exploited, underpaid, and humiliated behind the scenes. The man who turned billion-dollar franchises into budget-cutting experiments is now being called out for treating the cast like disposable merchandise.
Well, I think it's very disturbing to me. We've talked about disruptive forces on this business and all the challenges that we're facing and the recovery from COVID, which is ongoing. It's not completely back. This is the worst time in the world to add to that disruption.
But this time, the actors aren't staying silent, and Disney's golden empire is about to get torched from the inside out. And our pretty unapologetic Jeremy Renner lit this fuse on Marvel's biggest behind-the-scenes scandal. And no, this isn't about creative differences or scheduling conflicts. It's about cold, hard cash, or the total lack of it. After nearly dying in a snowplow accident, breaking over 35 bones, and rebuilding himself with titanium plates, Renner came back ready to continue playing Hawkeye. And what did Disney do? They offered him half his previous salary for Hawkeye Season 2. That's right, not a bonus, not a raise, a straight-up slap in the face with a 50% pay cut. And it wasn't for less work either. They wanted him to commit to double the workload for a shoot that would last 8 months. Renner didn't stay quiet. In an interview, he said,
Why? Did you think I'm only half the Jeremy because I got ran over? Maybe that's why you want to pay me half?
It wasn't just a rejection. It was a punchline to a corporate joke that nobody's laughing at. And here's where things get even dirtier. Just days before Disney threw this insulting offer at him, Renner had released his memoir, My Next Breath, detailing his brutal recovery and what it took to walk again, let alone return to work. The book had just dropped in April 2024. The timing of the offer was so cold, fans started calling it strategic cruelty. You don't get to ask a man to risk his body again for half the money, while pretending you care about his well-being, especially not a guy who helped build your billion-dollar franchise from the ground up. And let's not pretend this started with Jeremy Renner. The cracks in Marvel's golden empire have been there for years. People just weren't paying attention. But now, the mutiny has gone public, and names are finally being named. Let's start with John Malkovich. In 2025, he finally confirmed what insiders had been whispering for years, that he deliberately stayed away from Marvel, despite repeated offers. Why? Because, in his own words, if I'm gonna hang from a crane in front of a green screen for 6 months, pay me. That one sentence says everything. He's not refusing the work. He's refusing to be underpaid for physical punishment. And he's not alone. Hugo Weaving, who played Red Skull in Captain America, the first Avenger, also dropped out of the franchise, and not because of scheduling conflicts. Reports surfaced in multiple outlets that Weaving backed away from reprising the role in Avengers. Endgame after Marvel lowballed his return deal. They replaced him with Ross Marquand, and hoped nobody would notice. But fans did, and the message was clear. Marvel doesn't negotiate, they replace. And then there's Carrie. Yes, even she reportedly turned down future MCU appearances over the same issue. Not enough zeros on the contract. The irony? These are the same people that helped Marvel become a cultural phenomenon. Now they're seen as disposable assets in a spreadsheet. Behind closed doors, actors are having quiet meetings with their teams, and the word exit is being floated more than ever. This isn't speculation. This is movement. By mid-2025, casting insiders started leaking word of multiple stars backing out of upcoming projects, some officially, others quietly slipping away. The phrase creative differences has been thrown around like confetti, but it's all smoke. The real issue is money, or the lack of it. Marvel is bleeding talent and pretending the wound doesn't exist. But if you want to trace the origin of this rebellion, you have to go back to 2021. That's when Scarlett Johansson did what no Marvel actor had dared before. She sued Disney. The lawsuit came after Black Widow was released simultaneously in theaters and on Disney Plus Premier Access, a move that crushed box office profits and, by extension, her back-end bonuses. Scarlett's legal team argued she was owed over $80 million based on her contract. The case made headlines everywhere.
They're not being
They're
realistic.
dangerous. No, they're not.
Why not?
I can't answer that question. I respect their right and their desire to get as much as they possibly can in compensation for their people. I completely respect that. I've been around long enough to understand that dynamic and to appreciate it. But you also have to be realistic about the business environment.
It was the first public crack in the Disney armor. It told the rest of the cast that pushing back was not only possible, it could be profitable. Scarlett may have been the first to speak up, but she wasn't the last. She made it clear, if you don't fight for your worth, they won't offer it voluntarily. That case didn't just protect her bag, it changed the game for everyone else, including Renner. Now, let's talk numbers. Because this whole shared universe narrative starts to crumble the second you look at how the pay is actually shared. In 2019, Robert Downey Jr. reportedly made $75 million for Avengers: Endgame. That included his flat fee and back-end points. The man made a fortune. And good for him. He carried the franchise from the start. But then look at Chris Evans, who played Captain America in the same movie. His paycheck? Around $20 million. That's still a monster amount. Until you remember that both were in the same movie, with nearly identical screen time and the same global press tour responsibilities. Now cut to Chadwick Boseman, who earned approximately $2 million for Black Panther, a solo film that raked in $1.3 billion globally and changed the culture forever. So what's the excuse here? Different seniority? Maybe, but the fans don't see it that way. What they see is a legacy hero getting $75 million, another pulling $20 million, and one of the franchise's most groundbreaking figures barely breaking 7 figures. The deeper fans dig into the numbers, the more the Marvel shared universe starts to look like a pay pyramid, where the richest get richer, and the newer names fight over crumbs. No one's saying everyone should get Downey-level cash, but the pay gaps have become too wide to ignore, especially in a franchise that preaches teamwork and equality on screen. It's the off-screen disparity that's starting to kill the vibe. And the more the fans realize how unbalanced things really are, the harder it gets for Marvel to keep this under wraps. Because at some point, the Marvel magic runs out, and all that's left is receipts. Hailee Steinfeld is quickly becoming the new face of Marvel's archery legacy. And it's not just creative, it's financial. Ever since Hawkeye wrapped in 2021, Disney's been subtly moving Renner out and Steinfeld in. She's younger, cheaper, and already crossing over into other successful franchises like Spider-Verse and Arcane. By 2025, industry insiders were reporting that Steinfeld is being positioned to fully take over the Hawkeye mantle, especially with Young Avengers quietly in development. It's a strategic replacement, not just a storyline evolution. Jeremy Renner's future, on the other hand, is completely in limbo. After recovering from his near-fatal 2023 snowplow accident, Disney offered him half his previous salary for Hawkeye Season 2, despite demanding more work and a longer shoot. He declined. Since then, he's been left out of confirmed casting lists. There's fan speculation that Steinfeld might help bring him into Thunderbolts or Avengers. Doomsday, but as of now, there's no deal, no paycheck, and no confirmation. Renner remains unpaid and unofficial, and that's no accident. Post-Endgame, Disney changed its playbook. Instead of paying top dollar for legacy stars, they shifted to investing in the Marvel brand itself, not the actors. That means replacing high-cost veterans with lower-paid successors. Chris Evans reportedly earned around $20 million for Endgame. Anthony Mackie, who now holds the Captain America shield, is being paid far less for Brave New World. The same thing is happening with Hailee Steinfeld for Renner, Letitia Wright for Chadwick Boseman, and Mahershala Ali in Blade, whose production issues reportedly stem from script rewrites and pay-related delays. Even A-listers aren't safe. Angelina Jolie and Richard Madden, stars of Eternals, were reportedly underpaid despite a $200 million production budget. Jolie's paycheck was under $10 million, low for her market rate. Madden made even less. Disney isn't denying it. They're just operating under a new model. Actors are replaceable. The logo isn't. This quiet financial overhaul is why Marvel's actor roster looks nothing like it did 5 years ago. Stars are exiting, newcomers are entering, and Disney's balance sheet is driving every decision. The transition isn't organic, it's deliberate cost-cutting, masked as creative evolution. So now the question is, do you think Marvel's future still feels like a team effort, or is it just a numbers game now? Drop your thoughts below.